How the cold's going, guys?
Is this the cold open?
Yeah, it's cold open. We're doing cold open now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to edit this in some way, so you have no idea until you hear it on Friday, like how I'm going to edit this thing. So,
Yeah. Definitely full of it. Although, Dave, you sound much worse than I do.
Yes, well, it's always good to start off a new venture like this by being a little bit sicky poo, especially when you've got to use your voice. Of course, I have been down with the dad pox, which is a subvariant of the man flu, which everyone knows is one of the worst diseases you can possibly get. So I've been suffering terribly. Women will never know the pain, and childbirth can't possibly compare. I don't know.
Surely not. Not that we can actually defer to anyone on this particular podcast, but oh well.
So anyway, if I sound a little bit funky, that's why. We'll suffer through and get by.
We'll look back on this and just go, the humble beginnings, right?
I kind of want my cold to stick around because it kind of gives me that extra sort of husky depth.
Just that little bit of extra sex appeal.
Yeah. So apologies to
That's what we're all
potential
about,
future listeners if my voice is not quite as nice.
Cheers for the podcast artwork, Dave. I really appreciate that.
Hey, got to contribute something.
Bloody good. Yeah.
Lord knows I'm not adding much here.
Yeah. Did you say did somebody animate it?
No, not yet. There's potential for that.
We're
right?
well down the track. You wait and see. You wait and see,
yes.
listeners. All three of you.
Love it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Dad. Yeah, I like the fact that we're all Canadian, sort of like the sort of South Park versions of each other.
Yeah, I mean New Zealand is the Canada of the South Pacific.
Yeah, I'm not Canadian, Filipino, but I'm sure the Philippines is the Canada of Southeast Asia, I guess.
It is. I don't know why.
Alrighty, welcome to the like I can edit this out. I'll probably keep this in the gag reel. Yeah. Welcome to the Crossplay Cooperative, a gaming podcast. It's a gaming podcast, right?
Oh,
think so.
yeah, mostly.
Alright, let's welcome our hosts from the Deep South, NATO.
Hello. Yes, from the furthest south, probably any gaming podcast is in the world.
And the man with the huskiest voice in the industry, or at least for this episode, Dave.
Yeah, that's me. Here and ready to chat with some dudes on the internet about some stuff that we think is very interesting.
I think it's very interesting. Yeah, for sure.
Questionably important.
It's not
So
really,
every week
it's
we're
not
gonna-
really that questionable. It's not very important.
That's in the grand scheme of things, right? In terms of what's going on in the world right now, like our little corner is fairly inconsequential, I would imagine.
I like the inconsequential corner. It's a comfy spot.
Yeah, that's a nice place to retreat and sort of.
Yeah, just
Start
have a
rocking.
snack, eh? Bit of a
Rocking
sippy
back
cup.
and forth.
And away you go.
Yeah,
And we can say whatever we want, right? Because we're so far
you
removed.
absolutely can. Absolutely can. You can join us here every second Saturday as we discuss the most recent news in the gaming industry. We'll also chat about what we've been playing, dive deeper into some gaming mechanics, and generally talk video game crap. So let's start with the news.
Yeah, and there has been a bit going on just recently across the, especially the general video game sector. Goodness me. So we've got some stuff to talk about, which is fun for us, although not all of it's great. And the first cab off the rank here is something that's coming in pretty hot from Ethan Garch over at Kotaku, who's letting us know that it looks like the US administration is trying to figure out whether they're going to force Tencent to divest from their investments in US gaming companies. So This is a bit of an interesting one because Tencent's got a lot of money tied up in some pretty big players, like a small developer who makes Fortnite, Epic Games, and of course Riot, the folks behind League of Legends, among many other things. Not to mention investments in things like Discord, Larian Studios, Remedy Entertainment, and some mobile developers and publishers as well. And the weirdest thing gets really weird is that there's talk that even though some of these studios aren't based in the US, it seems like the US government may still try to force some kind of power play over this because so many of these companies' customers and audience members are in the US. So I don't know how that works, but makes things a bit interesting. And so, obviously this could all just be posturing at this stage. Who knows, really? This clearly has happened before with things like, WeChat and TikTok and things like that. Of course, in some of these cases, these companies have kind of been handed over to, like the Ellison family, who are currently absorbing a whole bunch of major media companies in the US. So one has to wonder, does this end up going the same way? And what are the consequences likely to be for this? Obviously, Tencent itself is, has some pretty strong ties to the Chinese government. What that means for things like gaming, who knows really, but in terms of where this goes, this could suck quite a lot of money out of some of these big players. Do you guys reckon, well, first of all, is this likely to actually happen, or does it just end up being kind of more bluster that gets used as another lever for trade negotiations? Or if this goes through, what happens here?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. What do you think, Nat?
So I want to just ask the question, like, what does this look like if they do go ahead and start making some pretty bold mandates as to what, like, if tomorrow or the next week they turn around and say, yeah, this is happening in some small way, like, what does that even look like for these companies, these game-making companies?
Do they just stop? Do they just stop releasing? Like, do you just shut down these studios? I mean, like, yeah, what does that actually, the operational effects of them pulling out their funding?
Yeah. I mean, I think
what's the?
I think they're fairly significant stakes. I think having another look at this article, so Tencent holds 28% of Epic Games, and Epic Games obviously is one of the absolute giants in the industry.
Huge.
Multi-billion-dollar property going on there. And so 28% of that is a pretty significant seismic shift. I don't know what that looks like if this sort of thing does go ahead. I mean, I assume basically it sort of becomes a bit of a sort of fire sale on shares. So presumably there's some pretty gnarly effects on the stock market, etc. from here. And also wouldn't be surprised if you end up with more studio closures and layoffs and things like that. Because I imagine that investment doesn't get easily or immediately replaced.
Yeah, like the studios like Larian as well. That's another. Like, they're not the US-based studio, obviously. So if they can sort of pull their weight on those studios, what does that look like?
I mean, that's really bizarre, where it goes sort of over those international lines and just into like, the studio exists in another country, but hey, some of their audience are over here, so we're still going to throw our weight around. It's pretty weird.
Yeah. So is it like that they'll end up telling them to sort of, remove your investment?
Yeah, basically
block the game,
forced
sort of
divestment of their shares, or I guess, I mean, I guess from a government perspective, you just go, well, you've got to do this now. You will be divesting your shares.
Which
is pretty bizarre. It's doesn't sound very capitalist, does it?
No, not at all.
A little bit,
All right.
a little bit sort of corporate communism or something. But there we go. That's where we're at in the late stage video game capitalism front.
Well, in some more bad news, Sony has confirmed the closure of Bluepoint Games, the Texas-based studio best known for its high-profile remakes of Demon's Souls and Shadow of the Colossus. The shutdown comes amid broader restructuring efforts within PlayStation Studios and reflects ongoing pressure across the AAA development space. This was big news. Well, I remember sort of hearing this early in the week or last week and going, come on, like, these guys were making amazing remakes. They were doing Demon's Souls and Shadow of the Colossus. I actually never played the Shadow of the Colossus, but you did, Nate. You played the original? Or?
Yeah. And the remake as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Both like amazing remakes, like top quality stuff. There's real talent in that team, eh? And with just Demon's Souls being one of the flagship titles for the PS5.
Yeah.
And coming out, it just looks stunning. And it still holds its ground amongst some of the best looking games. Just incredible talent to just let go. So you hope that they aren't just kicking them out the door and telling them to go find work elsewhere.
No, there'll be some talent.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And my own hopes for that team is that Sony recognizes this internally and maybe just puts them into other teams so that they aren't losing all that incredible talent.
From what I understand, I believe there are about 70 odd folks losing their jobs at this stage, and so there are some that are being redeployed within Sony, I believe. But yeah, it sounds like there are quite a significant number of workers there who are just going to be out the door, basically. And this has come along with the usual statements of does not reflect the talent of the team, etc., etc. But also, it's this kind of bizarre story where basically Sony have come out and said, we just can't figure out what to do with these guys. And, I mean, this is a studio with well-recognised technical talent and a real panache for, particularly remasters, remakes, reboots. Sony has a ton of properties out there that it seems like they could be using these guys on, and really it just seems like there's this, it almost feels like a lack of imagination, really, where instead of giving them, where this team has pitched, I think from what I've heard, sort of at least 3 or 4 different projects since their previous work on the God of War live service game got shut down. They've been pitching multiple times for new things that they feel they could be a good fit for, including, as you said, I think you said, Len, about that they pitched for a Bloodborne game.
Well, yeah, apparently I was reading on Bloomberg that they pitched doing a Bloodborne remake, but From Software was the reason it was blocked. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's kind of what I read, which is pretty... Yeah.
Again, does seem strange from Software as well, right? Given that these guys have obviously done a really well-received remake of Demon's Souls, a previous FromSoft title, and so it seems strange that they would kind of turn around and veto it. Hard to understand. It sounds like from the little bit I've sort of heard around the place, it sounds like Miyazaki himself may have been just wanting kind of hands-on with it, really, if it was going to happen, and that might have been the reason for it, potentially. I mean, that's rumour only, not confirmed. But yeah, sort of sounds like it might be a bit of a thing of like, hey, we might be interested in doing this one day, but if we're going to do it, I want to be involved. And that's not how this is looking like it's shaping up at the moment, so we'll hold off.
We're going to block you.
But you really would think that one of those other, big Sony properties, that huge library of kind of fascinating Sony IP that's been sitting around for so long would be just ripe for a group of expert remakers and remasterers to be in on. Strange.
Yeah, I think that's also something to be said about buying a team, knowing what they're good at doing, and sort of letting them do the thing. they do remakes really well. Why would they not? So they're not even on the God of War remakes that are sort of have just been recently announced. Obviously, because they've been shut down. I think that's internal. I think that's Santa Monica are doing their own remakes, which is like again, that's also a bit of a waste of talent. Like they should be doing something else, and you should get a remake team to do the remake because Santa Monica can do a lot.
I mean,
Bluepoint Games would be perfect.
Sounds like at the moment Santa Monica are working on both the remake trilogy, which sounds like it could even be kind of all three of those first great games kind of shoved together into one package, which is a lot of game.
It's a lot of game.
And on top of that, it sounds like, is it correct that they're also working on potentially a new game or a new sort of storyline set within the God of War universe? So they're kind of going full MCU with the God of War landscape here. And they're going, we're making something new that sort of ties in somehow. No, I don't know what that is or what that looks like, but it sort of sounds like they've got a couple of irons in the fire there all at the same time, and all of them are quite big.
One of the wild rumors I heard was that the main character for this new God of War game is going to be Kratos' wife from the 2016, 17?
AKA the dead one,
18? Yeah. So I'm guessing it's
Wow.
set in between. I don't know, or it's just because it was God of War. It's just they bring her back. You're alive.
And she's even angrier than Kratos.
Yeah.
She's mad.
I bet she is. She's married to the guy.
Yeah.
Although, do they get married? Do they get married? Is that a thing? Or like,
Oh, did they? I think there was a flashback at some point. Or
yeah.
Yeah.
She's mentioned being his wife, right? At some stage.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely like Atreus' mum, but
That is
Yeah,
a wild
yeah,
rumor,
just
and I would totally play that.
Yeah. I would totally play that. I was thinking about it because the art I saw had like her with a bow and stuff, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Cool.
And in related news, have you guys seen the first images out of the God of War live action TV series from Amazon?
I have seen like, very briefly on my phone. I didn't really have an opinion. I was like, okay, well they're doing this. This is happening.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go look at them now.
The dead energy is certainly strong. looks a little bit like a cosplay situation.
Oh, cosplay. Let's go. Yeah. Wait, why is the kid so young? The kid's a baby. Is that actually the kid?
It's very small. Yeah, that is the
Atreus,
actor
yeah.
for the kid. Yeah.
Who's cast as our boy Kratos?
Ryan Hurst is Kratos. You may know him from. I have no idea where he's from. Where's he from? I'll say Sons of Anarchy. That's my guess. Is he Sons of Anarchy?
Yes, that rings a
Yeah.
bell.
Yeah.
I think he's had
Of course he
a
is, son of-
couple of
yeah.
reasonably high-profile roles, and is generally regarded as someone who was good at the acting. But
He'll do the thing.
that is a slightly strange first still that they've chosen to release. Is all I'll say. Really, it's a bit of an odd one. However, if things like the Fallout show are anything to go by, there's the potential for it to be good. So we'll wait and see what happens there.
Yeah, Fallout solid. So what about this next piece? I don't know if it's good or bad. After nearly 4 decades with Microsoft, including 4 years as CEO of Microsoft Gaming, Phil Spencer has announced his retirement effective from October 2026. He's gone. He's out. Let it bolt.
Out the door.
Yep.
And even more than that, not just him. Of course, it's Sarah
that's right,
Bond
that's
as well, the president. Is that right? And both of them have left at the same time, which has obviously created a little bit of discussion in the room mill about, were they pushed? Did they go of their own volition? Did they leave because they were so unhappy with how, new mandates were coming down? What's the story there? Obviously, not a lot is being said, which leaves a lot of room for conjecture. And of course, they're being replaced by Asha Sharma, who has not been with the company very long. 2024, she joined Microsoft, having previously bounced around, I think, between the likes of Meta and a couple of other places as well, which is, she's moved around quite a bit in her career so far. And of course comes from Microsoft's Core AI division, which has caused some questions to be asked. Like, what is going on?
What is the direction? Yeah. She's also on the board for Home Depot, FYI.
What?
Just randomly. Yeah, I was looking at something.
Yes. Now, and of course, as part of that, the former Xbox Game Studios head, Matt Booty, continues to go up the ladder and is being promoted to the Chief Content Officer, whatever that might imply, working alongside Sharma. And so Booty, rocking everywhere.
So much booty.
Stop the booty.
I just had a thought. You know why? Xbox is pulling out of the hardware race, the console race, or so it feels anyway. Is that because?
Yeah, sounds like it.
They're moving towards the more Home Depot hardware line of, like
Microsoft makes hammers now.
Yeah, spades and
they're going to go and
I mean, in fact, it really seems like the opposite may be true. Like you said, it does seem like they are. Well, I mean, again, there's a bunch of speculation here that there's been speculation for a while that they might be sort of sunsetting Xbox as a hardware platform. I mean, they've under Spencer, they've tried to make a bunch of moves towards becoming much more of a service offering, which one has to suspect probably comes down from Microsoft's overall strategy as well, right? Like they have moved almost entirely to being a service company, and as a transition from that even into an AI-focused service company. And so there's some weirdness there with bringing in an AI executive to run Xbox. But also I've seen some speculation that given that she is, relatively speaking, so junior within Microsoft, and coming from such a different division with no real kind of relationship to this space, well, one of the wild versions is this could just be a sunsetting of the entire division. You bring someone in as the hatchet person to basically, palliative care this thing into the darkness and let it slowly go away. Or as possibly a lesser version of this is someone who can come in unsentimentally and apply the hatchet where
from the Home Depot,
Microsoft's where a Home Depot hatchet to whatever Microsoft feels might need to be culled without the kind of sentimentality that comes with a deeper connection to the industry, which someone like Phil Spencer might have carried with him, as someone who's got a bit more of a sort of connection to that deeper history of the industry and a sort of sacredness attributed to some of these studios. She is obviously going to be coming in without any of that, and so she might just go, well, who needs id software, or whatever else it might be.
Oof,
yeah, exactly. Like,
imagine
what have
that.
they done for us?
Yeah.
What have they done for us recently?
Recently is fair.
One of the greatest things.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, you go, Len.
No, I never thought. I just said the word, and then I had nothing to follow that with. So you go now.
Just one of the greatest things I liked about Spencer was how, like, he would show up on, on talk show, or like videos with game
Podcasts.
Journalists, and when things were hitting the fan, or like when something had happened in the news, and he would often be quite forthright and would say things that really showed that he sort of understood gaming more than a lot of other CEOs. Do
you think though, like, he was a bit in over his head as well, though? Like, when I would hear him on these podcasts, sometimes he'd just kind of be talking around in circles and not telling you. Like, he'd be kind of giving you kind of the sort of friendly gamer vibe. You'd see like his Xbox controller on the shelf behind him and stuff, but he'd also be like, if the right person asked the right question, I don't know if he'd give us the answer that we really want to know. You know,
There
for
were
example,
times though where he did stand out, and he did.
take it on the chin.
Yeah, and I just remember
Yeah.
being like, respecting him for that. I can't think of the exact examples,
Neither can I.
but there were a couple of times like that, and where all the other CEOs were, vomiting that kind of jargon garbage around the topic that they didn't actually understand the industry that they were a leader of. Whereas he seemed to be a bit more on the pulse.
Yeah, he was a couple. Actually, a good example I remember for Phil was I think it was Phil. It was pretty sure it was Phil, saying that they lost the worst console generation to lose, which was the PS4 era, because that's when everyone was like getting their game libraries. Pretty much, everyone was starting to move to digital, and he was like, because I think people were saying, Starfield has to be the game that sort of saves the company, sort of thing. And he was like, man, even if Starfield hurts, it's still not going to save us, sort of along those lines. And I felt, I was like, oh, yeah, that's pretty. That must have been hard to say, bro. Like,
Yeah.
That I can't remember whether that was him or that was Bethesda. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the Phil Spencer era has been an interesting one, to say the least, really, because he's definitely been a strong kind of presence and face to the company where there isn't really anything else coming out of that place, and has really managed to cultivate a pretty strong kind of man of the people image. He's charismatic. People like him. He plays games, and is genuinely passionate about them, as far as anyone can tell. Certainly, if it's all been an act, he's been a bloody good actor for the last quite a few years. And then on the other hand, like you said, it seems like sometimes he's been someone who seems to have struggled with some of the hard questions, and has also got just handed a really difficult situation with when basically him taking over at kind of the Xbox One era where things were really a mess.
That was the worst time.
So he has inherited kind of a weird, messy legacy. But then also, it's hard to deny that the last few years, particularly of Xbox, have been just kind of an endless series of them stepping on one rake after another, it feels like. It hasn't felt like there have been very many wins in the news for Microsoft, Xbox specifically, for quite a long time. The massive acquisition of Activision Blizzard and how questionably that seems to have gone for them, all of that stuff, the big shift to everything as an Xbox, the big swing they made with Game Pass, like that was undeniably a big swing, and
for years,
did make some fairly serious change. You could see Sony kind of doing a little bit of a scramble to catch up with their offerings on that, and obviously that, again, all of their stats on that have been really opaque. We don't really know how well or how poorly it did, but obviously it didn't do well enough, because it's gotten more and more expensive to the point where it's become less of a consumer-friendly offering. I think they've attempted to follow the stock standard, at this point, template for corporate enshittification, as presented by Uber, Netflix, every other one of these services that you can think of, where you get people in real cheap, get them committed, make it a hard proposition for them to leave, and then slowly do the boiling frog, price rises on them until it's a horrible situation. And then once you've kind of raised the price as much as you can, then you make the product worse and cheaper, so you can make more money off it.
I used to love the early days.
Oh, man.
The early day pricing model worked really well, because I would sign up for 3 months or something for $1 or $2, and then once that finished, I would cancel my subscription, and then they would send me an email offering to do it again for the next 3 months
Nice.
for $2. It was ridiculous. Like the amount of value back then was just like unsustainable, and this was like many years before they actually did the price hikes, which happened last year. So
fairly recently.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it launched, it was undeniably kind of the best value proposition on the
too good to
market.
be true.
Really. Like, yeah, exactly, and it was.
it's so easily abusable.
Yeah.
Which was so weird that they continued that for so long. Yeah, and we knew we had it good, but we we just thought it wouldn't
We're still
end.
feeling the effects of it now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as you mentioned before, Dave, like it sort of influenced the rest of the industry with like Sony and stuff. Sony sort of does it, and I don't think Sony wanted to do like a sort of PlayStation Deluxe sort of offering, but they've done it, and I think it's probably not going anywhere. It might disappear at some stage, but I think there'll be a bit of an uproar if it left, because it's still, even on PlayStation, and PlayStation is widely regarded as the inferior of the two. Great games. There's a lot of games on there. A lot of the first parties come there eventually. Like, it's maybe not day dot, but it's pretty solid. And yeah, he was the kind of steward of that, wasn't he? He kind of...
Yes.
Did it start? Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So that big swing definitely happened under Spencer, and again, as part of that general shift to a sort of services-based company, and so it makes sense, right? You turn Xbox into a service as well. It seems like it was probably fully aligned with what the parent company was trying to achieve at the time, and at this point, it really just feels like the entire Xbox division is pretty unimportant to them, and I think they are probably trying to shed as much of it as they can, really. But then the other interesting thing that's come out of some of Shama's public output since she's taken up the position has been like implications around, well, hey, we might reconsider our stance on things like exclusives. And now this seems completely in the opposite direction of like, okay, we're backpedaling. Maybe we're going back to more of a walled garden. Do you think they can do that? Can they afford to do that at this stage?
I don't think they can. They've bought these studios. They've got like billions of dollars invested in. I don't think anything from the Activision Blizzard sort of side that's never going to be exclusive, because they just don't have the volume. You're throwing money away, because every single time they sell a copy on Sony's platform, that's money that they wouldn't get otherwise, and they just don't have enough Xbox players to pay these studios to keep making games.
Yeah. I mean, at this stage, it really feels like if you're not kind of out everywhere, you're probably not getting the returns that you need. I mean, for example, like, and part of this is there's this self-reinforcing spiral with this stuff as well, right? Like, if I was to just ask you your general, like, sort of one-word perception of Xbox as a brand, what would you say?
Ooh. I don't want to say failing, that's a bit mean.
But that's what comes to mind, isn't it?
And it kind of is. Well,
that's what comes to mind,
the question, right? I answer the question, it's failing, and I think it's like inefficiency, I would say inefficient. Wow. Unsustainable would be my word.
Yeah, and in a digital
Definitely.
marketplace, if you're like, okay, I'm going to invest a bunch of my money into games on a platform that I kind of want to be around forever, and, so that my stuff doesn't go away, my money doesn't go away, are you going to go for the one that's where the first word in your mind is failing?
Failing, unsustainable. No, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't think they can't reverse that. I know that she's already started talking about the next console, and so they will at least have one more console. I'm pretty sure I heard or read that somewhere. But yeah, they kind of have to stay the course. They need to keep their good studios afloat, like the ones that are making like Fable and those sorts of studios. Like was it Fairground Games making Fable?
Oh, Playground.
Playground, yeah. Because if you gotta pay your studios, man. You got to generate revenue, and Game Pass only does so much. So I don't think they can go back. They can't reverse what they've started. They've started releasing stuff on Play. In fact, I played Stalker 2. I finished that quite recently, and I was just, when I saw that was on PlayStation 5, because I didn't even realize I wasn't following that game. When I saw it was on PS5, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, excuse me? That's wild. I probably should have seen it coming, because I think they released, I think I saw Stalker, like the original Stalker games, on PlayStation 5. But yeah, you've got to make your money. I think they'll become more of a publisher, regardless of what Archer says. I think their shareholders require some return on investment, to be honest.
They've got to keep their studios around.
I mean, it really seems like their only choice, right, is to continue into that kind of service format.
In the first of many AI-related train wrecks I'm sure we're going to talk about on this podcast, Lewis Parker from Kotaku reports that a review of Resident Evil Requiem by gaming website Video Gamer, which I've never heard of, has been removed from Metacritic along with their review score. This is because of the AI usage? Wasn't the review just fully AI?
Yeah, this is a weird one. This is a really
nutty one,
absolutely bizarre. And so, from what I understand, I'm not familiar with Video Gamer either, but from what I understand, this is a pretty long-standing, well-respected outlet in the UK who've had, been around for many years and had a good number of people on staff. And things started getting really suspicious with this Resident Evil Requiem review that popped up. Where people started looking at it going, yeah, this is like non-specific, filled with cliches, etc. So this author of this review, Brian Marigold, pops up out of nowhere with no apparent online footprint whatsoever. And yeah, I mean the review just reads like some sort of ChatGPT generated, kind of vaguely non-specific platitudes, and
even his bio is like so freaking
even his bio is really bad.
So bad.
And the best part is the byline has no online history, and the profile image URL is titled ChatGPT image Oct 2025. And then, as people started to dig deeper, they found out there seemed to be a whole bunch of other authors on the site, also with AI-generated profile pictures and no prior appearance anywhere else. All of whom had their social media profiles created in October last year, 2025. So basically, it seems like Video Gamer pretty much fired all of their journos and then replaced them all with AI-generated content. The worst bit is that it sounds like the actual older former journalists' profiles, the real people who worked there throughout 15 years. This site has apparently been around, so it's not new. Have all been removed from existence and overwritten with more of these fake AI profiles. So these people who would be referring to the stuff for their their future work prospects, like check out my work here. They can't even use it in their CV because now it's written by Shooter Orson or whatever. It's like
Shooter,
not a real boy.
Yeah, this I love the audacity though. It's bold, man. It's real. Like I'm just gonna swing some AI dick all over the place.
He sure is.
Just see where it lands. See who catches me.
Yeah.
But October. That's a good For how many months ago? Was that 6 months ago?
Yeah, it says here that apparently
impressive.
they first started chucking up some of this slop under their casino and gambling
Red
portions
flag.
of the site. Yeah, and then it just seemed to spread until
To test the waters,
everyone else.
to see what they could get away with.
Yeah. Yep.
It's worrying, isn't it? It's
not good.
It's like what if they had gotten away with it, and we're just reading, or whoever's a regular to this website is just reading this stuff and taking on board what this AI has garbled together is like an actual real, like if they imagined it was a real user's summary of the game, and then that affected whether they were going to purchase the game or not. Like, it's very concerning, and if this has been done here, then it's been done elsewhere too, right?
Oh, you bet.
Most likely.
Oh yeah, I think Metacritic removed a bunch of other articles and like reviews from their website, and they sort of released a statement saying all AI generated reviews will be banned subsequently. Like the relationship will be severed from Metacritic pending an investigation. So yeah, they're pretty hardline on making sure there's no AI sort of ruining their aggregate.
I mean, that's the only way sites like Metacritic and OpenCritic can survive anyway, right? Because it's like, if they become a worthless kind of puddle of who knows what these contributions are, they die. You know, because what's the point in referring to those scores if they're worthless?
Yeah. They already get criticised because of the weighting. I'm not sure how. Well, yeah, because they weight certain sort of publications differently depending on sort of their reputation or whatever, or traffic or whatever. So there's a little bit of controversy there. So yeah, they've really got to maintain that integrity, or yeah, people will just either someone will start something else up that does the same thing, but just removes AI, or they do what they're doing basically.
Yeah, and I mean, I think part of the reason this came to the surface, relatively speaking, so quickly was because Video Gamer were one of those top-rated critic sites. Because they had a long history and a reputation.
Right, yeah, of course.
They were right up there. And
yeah.
I think I actually saw that review in the aggregate sites when I was first, looking up some info about Requiem. I'm pretty sure I actually came across that one. So it was right up there in those kind of, above the fold, reviews to watch sort of thing.
It's a very specific... A very just weird combination of stuff to cover, like video and casino games. Like, what kind of demographic is
how they pay the bills?
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, they got bought out by someone.
I mean, Konami does it, right?
Yeah, Pachinko, let's go, Pachinko.
Metal Gear Pachinko.
Yeah. Was there all the uproar with that, like, they'd re-rendered, like, Metal Gear Solid 3 or something, or Metal Gear Solid 1 in, like, really high def and stuff for whenever it was. But you could only see that on a pachinko machine.
Wow. That so it was definitely like, sounds
you
like...
could see what it would look
and
like.
It was canon to the story.
Like, I was like, oh, was it? Oh, yeah.
Classic Konami. Are we all glad that Konami appears to be back? I mean, isn't that nice?
Yeah.
I'm glad they seem to be actually making games again. That's pleasant.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they're true, and they've done the remake. Or did they do the remake, or was it another?
Yeah, I mean, they've done their remake, and they seem to be smashing it on their catalog of new stuff as well. They really seem to be.
Of course, Silent Hill
kicking into it with a passion.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, good. Castlevania coming out.
It's actually good.
Yeah,
of course.
Yes,
riding on that.
Nice. Very good. Yeah, you got some bits on this.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that soon.
Silent Hills are popping off.
All right, so
yes.
That's supposed to be really good.
Yes, yeah. I've heard a lot of very good things about Silent Hill F, and honestly, I'm pretty intrigued by that trailer for the first-person small Scottish town Silent Hill as well.
Ooh,
looks interesting. Townfall, which is kind of a funny name. But,
okay. A lot of scary people in kilts.
Just a lot of spooky Highland boys.
Bit of haggis, so yeah, let's go.
Geese. I mean, that's a pretty freaky meal already.
Yeah,
it's definitely got.
I've never had it.
Definitely got body horror vibes for sure.
Yeah. Well, definitely. Yeah, I'd give it a nudge. I have never tried haggis, so I'd like to try that one day.
It's okay, and I say that as a person with Scottish heritage. So I think I'm allowed. Maybe I don't know. I might.
True. Yeah.
They might come for me. We'll find out if I'm not here for the next show.
It'd be a classic Silent Hill.
It's like the
haggis was probably your ex-wife's or something like that.
Oh god.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Spoilers. I don't know. You know, there's always a twist, right?
All right, so
There's
there's always a
twist,
twist.
right?
100%, yeah. Paramount has acquired Warner Discovery. That's just what it says in the doc. What does this mean for their gaming division?
Yes, Paramount has bought Warner Discovery. So I don't know if you guys recall, there was a big kind of bidding war going on between Paramount and Netflix. Yeah, for Warner Discovery. Now, obviously, Warner Discovery is a massive conglomerate, and they obviously have a huge catalogue of, movie and entertainment properties. And they also, of course, have, well, at least formerly, had a pretty strong video game division, which has been gutted in recent years with, the closing down of Monolith, the folks behind the Lord of the Rings sort of open world orc Pokemon games, Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor.
Sorry, for a second, I thought you were referring to like Pokemon Go, but a Lord of the Rings version.
No, it's Pokemon Rings.
Wow. I'd play that. I'd play Lord of the Rings Pokemon Go. Let's go.
Well, you can go back and revisit Shadow of War.
Yeah, what
pretty much is that.
I think that's in my library.
Yeah, so I mean the games division at Warner has been in strife for a long time. But of course, this is also home to the Batman Arkham games.
Yeah.
There's some. The last one of those was the Suicide Squad. Didn't go so well.
That was an absolute debacle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, all of this has now been sucked up by Paramount, which again is the Ellison family. And one suspects that whatever is left of the video game division will probably be no more, because it seems like they're basically a small bit, a side effect of this purchase. Effectively, they're not buying Warner for the video game division. And I think that's where there was a little bit more optimism around Netflix potentially acquiring them, because Netflix has shown quite a bit more interest in the video game sector in their own weird way. I mean, the way they've approached it has been kind of bizarre, but Netflix Games exists. They've seemed to have done everything they can to make it as invisible to the normal average human customer as possible, but it is there, and it has some really good stuff on it. Like, for example, Into the Breach exists exclusively on mobile through Netflix Games, and Into the Breach is an absolute all-timer, as anyone who's played it can attest to. Fantastic little game. So, they sort of weirdly care about this stuff, but not enough to compete with Paramount's ginormous amounts of money they were prepared to throw at this. So, and of course this is, the entirety of the DC license, among other things.
It's not the new Harry Potter,
Mortal Kombat?
is it? I don't think it includes the latest.
Oh, no.
Yes,
Harry Potter?
yes.
I think it is.
The last Harry Potter game. Yes, and like you said, Mortal Kombat. You'd like to imagine that Mortal Kombat might not immediately be thrown down the drain as just having general big name recognition, but who knows?
Yeah, surely they'd look at some of these. Like, Harry Potter was a really well-selling game. It did extremely well for the company. Mortal Kombat just always kind of hurts. It's just an ongoing fighting game. I'm sure that usually does well. The last few, since like 10 or 9 even, have been like really well regarded. So maybe like if someone smart looks at it and dissects it, or at least sort of brings in the key kind of devs and IPs into the fold, and just maybe, I don't know, but they probably don't even care, because they just want to check stuff on their streaming services, to be honest. That is unfortunate.
Yeah, doesn't seem great.
They could dabble a bit in those kind of interactive, like TV series, like there was that Minecraft one, where the poor pig died. Ruben, I remember that. But with the IP they've got, they could do a great, sort of like, a cross between a game and a TV show, just like a pick a path.
It's interesting actually that sort of seems to have almost completely disappeared again. Like Netflix got quite into that for a while with like the Black Mirror series and like you mentioned the Minecraft.
Bandersnatch,
Bandersnatch, and was it Minecraft Adventure Mode or something?
Oh, so good. Yeah.
I know there were a few of them, and then they just seemed to kind of completely give up on that concept.
It's like everyone was doing them.
Nobody's really tried it since.
And they seemed really popular. Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe there's an opportunity there for them to do something like that.
Yeah, so, well, at this point, as expected by just about everyone, unfortunately, Wildlight Entertainment, the developers of free-to-play shooter Highguard, have confirmed that it will be permanently shutting down on March the 12th. So I believe a grand total of 46 days of total uptime for the game since its launch. So it's lasted longer than Concord, but not by very much, unfortunately. Concord, of course, being Sony's very odd sort of failed attempt to enter the hero shooter genre. Highguard seems to have gone the same way with a release followed by a very rapid fall-off in numbers, followed by a very rapid shutdown of both the game and the studio. And a lot of this seems to have come about partly due to funding, again, apparently from Tencent, wrapping back around to our earlier story, being pulled immediately after their launch because they failed to hit player retention numbers, I think, after the first week period, something like that. And so basically they must have been so close to the wire in terms of their financial situation that basically as soon as that future funding was pulled, they were essentially gone. And so, almost immediate kind of partial shutdown of the studio, followed by confirmation of shutdown of the game and, full shutdown of the studio, which is pretty sad to see. I mean, it really does feel like they shot themselves right in the nuts on this one, like on multiple occasions with they've made this choice to kind of do the stealth launch, which seems to be something they've pulled across from their previous experience with Apex Legends, because obviously a lot of these devs were former Apex devs.
Yeah,
it seems
which
like
worked.
which did work at the time, but again, that's in a completely different sort of consumer landscape, right?
Yes,
and from what I've heard, they were kind of a little bit forced into that quiet launch because they were so worried about things like people being really upset about it not being another Titanfall. So they were like, hey, here it is, try it out, it's free to play. And, it went about as well as it possibly could have. Massive player base. Whereas this one, they kind of come out of nowhere. And one of the big problems by the sounds of it that's been kind of leaking out has been that they really had no opportunity for player testing because they kept this thing so close to their chests that their testing environment was entirely internal and was all based around things like everyone being on voice comms, talking to each other constantly, being, fully engaged in the teamwork side of things. You then take that and put it into a, Joe Public scenario where everybody's playing with randoms and no one's able to really talk to each other. A lot of people aren't on mic. People are just kind of playing around, trying to figure stuff out, not necessarily, being super sweaty about it. And the entire game mode just starts to fall apart because it's complicated. It requires communication. It's sweaty by nature because it's 3v3. It's like again, it's the sort of thing where if everybody's not kind of fully engaged, it falls apart really quickly. And again, this seemed to come as a real shock to them when they because again, the testing environment had been so different to the actual public experience of the thing. So I don't know. I guess in a way, it serves as a bit of a lesson in like public testing, early access are not bad things.
Yeah, early access and sort of just having the feedback from fans and your actual players. Like, it's so important because like you just don't see things that they see,
especially for these multiplayer,
sure,
especially for these multiplayer games.
Oh,
it's just like I mean, I think sometimes early access can sort of work the opposite way for some other games. You know, single player, sometimes it feels like it can work against the kind of launch hype where something can be out in early access for sort of a year or a year and a half, and then when it does actually come to its sort of 1.0 launch, it's much softer, and it's just kind of, it just exists now, and a lot of people don't even necessarily remember to go back and check it out. Not saying that always is the case. I mean, I think it does still help a lot of games. I mean, again, you look at like Hades and Hades 2, those have absolutely shone off the back of extensive early access testing. But I do feel like a lot of things can suffer a little bit from just that kind of that softer overall realization of its existence, and people coming to it slower over time. But, you know, maybe that just ends up building a more sustained base of people who are invested in it versus the sort of big initial pop where everyone gets excited and then kind of forgets about it. I don't know. But yeah, for these multiplayer things, it really does seem like, you know, the kind of spurts of testing maybe almost seem like one of the better ways of doing it, where you kind of release an alpha or a beta to the public for, you know, say a week or two and let them really get into it, find the problems, figure out what's wrong, you know, test your servers, etc., and then let it go away.
Feedback.
Then let it go away for you know, maybe a couple of months, do some real work on it, make some real changes, bring it back again for one of these tests, and you kind of get this little bit of a hype cycle starting to go on with it, where it's like, oh, we can try this out again. Oh, look, it's changed. You know, I mean, that seemed like it worked fairly well, even for, you know, things like Battlefield 6, relatively recently, where they ran, you know, some sort of semi-closed alphas and betas for a while in advance, and did seem to be able to respond to player feedback and things a bit. You know, obviously that's gone through its own arc since launch. But it definitely seemed to work in terms of both building hype and confidence from testers and players that, like, hey, this is shaping up to be something really interesting.
And you could have testing sessions that are under NDA as well. So, like, if you did want to retain some level of secrecy, then I was in one that was under NDA last year, and for a big studio, and you know, there were no leaks, thankfully. But even if there were leaks, you know, people aren't getting their hands on it still, like the general, the wider audience still aren't getting their hands on it, and and then I think you're going to get a lot of valuable feedback, because even with Highguard, there were just some really glaringly obvious things that would have come out of, you know, as a small play test, maybe even just a weekend.
Yeah, public play test.
Yeah.
But you can't do like a network slam, like a server slam, or whatever you call it, because by that stage it's too late. The game is the game. You're just polishing it by that point. You do need that kind of like alpha build sort of stuff where you kind of, even before that, you kind of need that close testing where you can actually kind of get it into the hands of some players that into the franchise or into the sort of general concept. And they failed to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those double-edged swords, because you know, players are going to make all sorts of requests that are probably going to be a really bad idea. But I think it comes back to
that's true.
I think it comes back to a really interesting idea that I heard around how to deal with feedback, which is really like when one of your customers tells you something is wrong, believe them. When they tell you how to fix it, ignore them.
Yeah, I like that. That's it. Yeah, no, that's because I don't necessarily, they're not the best arbiters of what the solution is. They can see the problem and their experience the issue with the experience, but yeah, they aren't developers, and don't necessarily understand what a good mechanic is and why it's a good mechanic. They just play it and they feel it. Oh yeah, this feels cool or bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is tough. It is tough.
And it's got to be value, right? Like we know what's fun and what isn't, and so that's got to be valued.
Yeah, I think
to
that's
the people making these games, right?
Yeah.
Like, if just this isn't.
And there's
fun.
enough of a red flag if you're a developer to know. Yes, it's not fun. Yeah.
Yeah, if people are telling you this is lame, they're probably right.
I played.
Yeah.
How many hours did you guys play off it? I think I played 2 sessions, maybe
Of
a
Highguard?
couple of hours. Yeah. Did you actually get on?
Nah.
Didn't you?
Nah, I didn't play Highguard at all. Yeah,
It was immediately
I kinda watched
obvious.
the videos.
Well, yeah, like it was literally it was immediately obvious because there were like weird downtimes during the matches where just nothing would
That's
happen.
not good,
Yeah, and you would sit there being like, what do I do at this time? And then the fight started again, and then it's kind of like ironing out that would have been, would have come through in feedback, just like the 3v3 mode and the size of the maps, like really simple stuff, or not stuff that would be missed. I don't imagine.
Yeah, and then
But
on a positive note here, we have a nice little story that's come out, which is that Red Octane, the studio that previously worked on things like Guitar Hero, have sort of reappeared on the scene, and I think previously having put out some physical peripherals, I believe, for playing some of those older rhythm games, they are going about actually making a new one. So Stage Tour seems to be their new kind of rock band-esque sort of multiplayer rhythm game, which apparently will be compatible with the likes of Creaky Plastic Instruments. This is kind of fun. I'm kind of looking forward to the return of the rhythm game era. This feels like something that has been a big hole in for quite a few years now. You guys ready to like smash around some plastic guitars again?
Yeah.
Can I just plug in my actual guitars? Is that an option? Because like Rocksmith did the actual guitars, which was pretty sweet.
I think that might be still exclusively the domain of Rocksmith there.
Rocksmith, okay, yeah. But hey, I did play a bit of guitar. I was never that good at Guitar Hero, despite playing guitar myself. I just couldn't get my head around it. I could get my head around it, but I just was nowhere near as fast as like other people.
I mean, I always got the impression that actually playing the instruments probably made you worse at the game, not better in many ways, right?
I definitely think it was a hindrance. I think both me and Matt thought it was definitely a hindrance.
So actually being able to play probably didn't help you when it came to playing.
But the drum, I could jump on the drums because I'm a shit drummer, so I could probably jump on the on the actual drums though. Yeah. No, it was fun though. It was a kind of social game. Like it was kind of this thing, like just like SingStar. Well, the SingStar is just karaoke. Let's be honest. Yeah. No, I'd give it a nudge.
It'd be nice to have some sort of living room games like that come back. I think I guess a lot of that stuff has been replaced by the sort of online space, and now on a positive note, we have the entire friend slop genre to tide us over on in terms of group play. But there's something nice about grabbing some plastic guitars and jumping around your lounge. I like that idea.
They haven't, pretend you're rock stars. I love it.
The question is whether they will bring a Dragon Force track into this new game through Fire and Flames.
Oh man!
Oh,
what's today's Dragon Force?
So sweet.
Oh yeah, don't know. Hopefully they're still kicking around.
It'll be Polyphia, man.
Oh yeah. Gentier.
Jesus. Yeah. Just get some Polyphia down here. I don't know how do you do that. You probably need like 17 of those instruments and you'll just like do finger tapping and shit. Like, I don't know how you translate Polyphia into like into a 4-5 button plastic guitar. I don't know, man. Like, good luck to them. Although they did through Fire and Flames, so there you go.
Anything's possible.
Oh yeah.
All right, next segment. What have we been playing? I hear it's the Steam Next Fest, or they just finished.
Yes, so Steam Next Fest is over now, but me and you managed to jump in and find a few fun things to dabble around with.
Certainly did.
This is kind of one of the first times I've really got into a Steam Next Fest. For whatever reason, I've never taken advantage of them much in the past, but it's fun just having a bunch of little tasters of interesting things that you might not otherwise try. So I have been really enjoying this. Yeah, what shall we talk about first? Do you want me to do go over one of the ones that I had a muck around with and then hand over to you, or shall I just run through this list and just blab about all of them?
Just give us the, because I think you did more than I think. I just did three.
Yeah, I
so
I started getting carried away. I'll just blab through this list of what I've been up to. So yeah, one of the first ones I had a crack with was Beyond Words. So are you guys vaguely familiar with the whole Balatro concept?
Oh yeah,
where effectively you got sort of
quite a few hours on that.
Poker combined with maths, and a bunch of sick combo action that gets people extremely addicted. So yeah, Beyond Words is kind of Balatro but Scrabble, really. Which in some ways I think does limit the breadth of the concept a little bit in terms of what you can do with it, but it's a fun little idea, and apparently comes from some of the head honchos behind Time Splitters, among other things.
Love that.
Yeah.
And apparently after their sort of previous studio kind of fell over, I think basically due to parent company issues, the pair of them kind of went, we can't really deal with this happening anymore. Why don't we just go and make something kind of small and silly and easier to digest that we think is cool? And so they have been doing this. It's a pretty sweet little setup. I had a bit of fun with it. It's effectively you are playing a game of Scrabble against yourself. There's no sort of opponent or anything like that, but you're trying to hit a predetermined score. And so much like Scrabble, you kind of get different scores per tile, but then you start getting multipliers added into things. So for a base word, you kind of get your points per tile multiplied by the number of tiles that you've used, the number of letters in your word. And then the points that each tile is worth can be increased by various different kind of little power cards and things. And also your multiplier can be increased based on various different prerequisites, like using specific letters, doing specific things with them, etc., etc. And so you can end up with these absolutely insane kind of like multi-hit combos where you've got these little kind of chains of modifiers going off and popping each other over and over again, and you can end up sort of scoring thousands of points at a time. And likewise and likewise the actual kind of minimum score limits tend to jump up in quite scary ways as well. So you're going, oh, how can I possibly do this? And then of course you can. So it's a fun little concept. I think it's the sort of thing that, to me, and I'm not sure actually where they are going to be releasing it. Obviously I've played it on PC, but it seems ideally suited for like a mobile game type situation. Where something that's a little bit bite-sized that you kind of jump in and start running a bit of a Scrabble combo while you're waiting around for something. Sort of hopefully see it come to some of those more mobile platforms, because I think it would be quite good for that. Another one that seemed to have captivated quite a few people from what I've heard is Denshattack. So this is kind of Tony Hawk plus Subway Surfers, but with trains. You are a train.
You are a train. You are a mother flippin' train.
Yes, you are. it's one of the more bizarre game concepts I have come across. It works. Did you give it a nudge, Liam?
I didn't, because I was like, it's on my Fantasy Critic list. So I didn't. Well, I don't know why I didn't give it a try. To be fair, I should have.
I think this probably will end up doing pretty well for you on Fantasy Critic. So
you reckon?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, good.
It's good. I've got to say off the bat, I don't think it's me. It's like I found it a bit of a struggle, honestly. It's really fast, and I am an elderly man. Yeah, it's real quick. You're kind of jumping around between tracks. So essentially, you're kind of running an obstacle course against the sort of runner style game like a Subway Surfer. Where you're kind of jumping between tracks, avoiding obstacles. You're doing jumps. You're doing tricks as you do the jumps, because why not? So you're doing kick flips and whatever else as you're jumping across the place. And it's all in this kind of real vibrant, like cel shaded visual style.
Can you multi-track drift?
Colourful.
You can drift. So you go around corners, and there's a kind of you brake and then have to tap again on a kind of release slider to kind of hit it at the right time and get an extra speed boost out of it. And the tutorial is just like full on. It throws so many kind of different mechanics at you so quickly. It's pretty overwhelming. So it's like you got to honk your horn to make certain obstacles move out of the way.
Cool.
You got to flip between tracks. You got to jump over things. You've got to manually drop out of the air sometimes to avoid obstacles coming up in front of you. So you got to kind of do a ground pound type maneuver. You seem to be able to kind of do like manuals and stuff where you can kind of come down on the track and like kind of grind them on two wheels. It's nutty.
It's just wacky, man.
It's wacky.
I love it.
It's wacky. Again, I don't think it's going to be my thing, but it's really cool. And it's it's got a real nice, super vibrant, cartoony visual style. There's been a real theme, I feel like, with a lot of these demos of this real kind of some really nice art styles and a lot of like cartoony cel shaded approaches, which is probably comes at a good time given the general hardware crisis and how unaffordable it's becoming to maintain any kind of gaming device that's capable of running kind of big, super hyper realistic graphical approaches. Going back to some really nice artwork and simpler approaches is probably a good move.
I'm looking at one right now that matches all that criteria, called Wabi Sabi Sushi Derby. Wabi Sabi Sushi Derby, and it looks gorgeous. And it's just a racing game where you race sushi. Little cute sushi.
That sounds amazing.
Like amazing, like little pixel art dudes. It's so cute.
I think that would make me so hungry.
I need to try that.
I may have to pick that up for fantasy.
I need to play this train game and make sure they have multi-track drifting, because that's the thing that with model train layout was like the sickest thing you could do is have one of your bogies on one track, and then you switch the points so that the other bogey is on another track, so you're multi-track.
Oh yes,
yeah.
I never really thought about like dexterity-based sick moves in model train layouts. That's
train
amazing.
Tricks. Yeah.
That's amazing. I've learned today.
Holy.
I didn't come across any multi-track drifting, but if they don't have that in there, they are missing a track, as I now understand it. Denshattack, one to watch, I think. It's very endearing and completely nuts. And then moving on along the same lines of appealing cel-shaded art styles, one of the other things I had a little bit of toy around with was Enter the Chronosphere. I think the best way I can sum this up is kind of like a super hot tactics. So it's a kind of isometric roguelite tactical shooter action game, but the enemies only move when you move. So it's essentially turn-based. And when I say move, you kind of have a preset distance that you'll cover. You're taking a turn, essentially. And so on your turn, you might choose to move or shoot or switch weapons. So you get you want your action that you take. And at the same time as you take your actions, the enemies will take their telegraphed actions. So you know where they're going to be, where they're going to shoot, etc. They also describe it as a bit of a bullet hell, which is accurate. So there's a lot of stuff kind of coming at you, and you're trying to make sure you're not in the space that it's heading for when it gets there. It seems to have some real fun kind of characters. It's got some nice kind of hand-drawn artwork for the cutscenes and things, and then it uses a real nice kind of sort of quite toyetic, I would say, kind of art style for the little dioramas. I would say, and again, this is based entirely on a very short demo period, but the enemy variety and the kind of tactics involved felt a little bit shallow on my initial run, and that could well change drastically later on. But I'd ended up feeling I was ending up leaning on doing very similar kind of things over and over again. And at times it felt like there was some slightly strange kind of balancing things with some of the weapons. They built in a nice kind of weapon switching mechanic called a quick draw, where you kind of carry two weapons at a time, and you can quickly swap weapons as a single action, and it sort of fires that weapon's alternate fire, so it kind of does a secondary move set for that weapon when you switch, and so there's this kind of built-in incentive to switch between your weapons at opportune moments and kind of keep things interesting like that. So I really like that. But yeah, overall it felt like it was sort of feeling a little bit samey at times. On my run at least, it was sort of being quite easy the whole way through until there was a sort of very sudden, slightly jarring difficulty spike where I sort of spawned into a level surrounded by enemies that almost immediately killed me, despite having been kind of running through things with ease up until then. Now, obviously, it is a roguelite style game, so, you're going to have runs, you're going to have difficulty spikes in there where you just kind of need a better set of upgrades or whatever it might be to kind of get through it. So I suspect there may be a little bit of that, early run roguelite thing going on where it's like, you're not supposed to succeed. You just kind of get to this point and you're gonna have problems until you develop a bit more. But yeah, again, like really interesting concept and doing some fun things, I thought.
Cool.
And on a completely different note, also had a little crack with something called Down with the Ship, which is basically a kind of spaceship building auto battler, where you're cobbling a ship together from different parts that kind of get chucked out to you at random through a sort of store, with a limited amount of in-game currency to kind of purchase new parts with. And then you basically build your ship, arm it up, crew it, hit battle, and send it into auto battle in asynchronous multiplayer, essentially, against other players' ships. So you just kind of send it in, watch the ships do their thing. So it's basically just a maths battle. See what happens, and kind of win or lose. Your ship doesn't get deleted. You just go back and get some currency, depending on how well you did, and try and build some more stuff on it, make it bigger and better, and upgrade it, and add. So it's all this kind of balancing. Again, it's kind of a fun math balancing game where you're balancing ammunition and power and shielding and and so you're kind of trying to figure out a good balance of like offensive capability versus defense and different functions on your ship. So it's quite a fun little thing. Quite an odd visual style to it. I don't really know how to describe it. There's nothing technically wrong with it. And yet I sort of found it vaguely hard to look at times. So
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I see what you
it's
mean.
top down and it's like technically quite nice. And they've added some nice little touches with like sort of dynamic shadows off the little top down images that are essentially forming the things and stuff. So there's some effort in there. It just sort of is kind of weirdly busy and hard to read sometimes and a little bit odd. That being said, though, my kids absolutely loved it. They thought it was amazing and spent quite a bit of time building spaceships to throw at people. So, yeah, it
kids would love
seems
that.
like it's got some kind of legs. Yeah, I mean, I haven't played a lot of auto ballers, so it was an interesting kind of concept to get into for me. But yeah, I do like the spaceship building aspect of it. I think that's a lot of fun. And probably the biggest release or biggest upcoming release that I looked at through the Steam Next Fest was Pragmata. And this just seems to be a continuation of Capcom's incredible run. I mean, they just seem to be doing their wrong at the moment, don't they?
Yeah, they're absolutely killing at the moment.
And this was my first look actually at an RE engine game, like playing it myself. Obviously, I've seen a bunch of footage of the RE remakes and things like that, and their recent RE engine games, and they all look great. But man, this thing looked good. So essentially, general concept, in case anyone's not familiar with it all, is you are playing as a dude called Hugh, who is trying to fix some stuff on the station, I think on the moon. And you're accompanied by this little girl android called Diana. So effectively she rides around on your back. You're a big chunky boy. And she assists you with hacking things. So the game mechanics are kind of shooting stuff with you, but as you are shooting stuff, you need to engage Diana's hacking mechanics to make the enemies vulnerable. So effectively
that's the minigame.
Yeah, so you're getting into like third-person combat scenarios, kind of as you normally would, but instead of just shooting at stuff, which is almost completely ineffective, does very little damage, you've basically got to scope in on them, to kind of aim down sights on the enemy, and that pulls up basically a little on-screen overlay with basically a sort of pipe-laying hacking minigame where you're trying to hit different coloured tiles to basically open the enemy's shields up and make it so that you can shoot them effectively. As you can imagine, that is quite the multitasking scenario.
Does it slow down, or is it like real time?
Where you're essentially trying to like lay these little like pipe puzzles while not getting smashed by these enemies in third-person combat. When there's and the enemies obviously to compensate for this, at least in the early game demo that I was playing, generally move relatively slow to give you time to catch up and do your little puzzle as they're coming at you. But when there's a couple of them, boy, it gets frantic. They may be coming at you kind of slowly, but when you're trying to do these puzzles in real time, it's like, oh no! So you're trying to kind of dodge roll and like do this pipe puzzle.
Does it work,
time.
or is it super
it's
messy? Like, does your combat just devolve into?
It works. It works surprisingly well. Yeah, that was exactly what I thought, both when I'd heard about it and when I started playing it. I was like, oh, really? But it works really well. It's a good little loop. Again, the combat is slowed down to kind of compensate for it. But it just means there's this kind of dual focus to it, which is really interesting. It's kind of unlike anything else I've played in that respect. So massive respect for them trying something completely different. It'd be really interesting to see what the full game is like in terms of how they play with that, how they escalate it, what sort of scenarios they're able to throw at you, and hopefully not limiting themselves too much with this concept, basically, because it's the sort of thing that could become difficult to do more things with. So yeah, really interested to see how the kind of the full thing pans out. And yeah, seems like potentially some interesting story stuff going on. The voice acting did seem like sort of extremely sincere, in a way that at times seemed almost slightly unconvincing. But again, going to reserve judgment there and see how it plays out, because this is obviously looking at a very small
Is
slice.
that mainly from the little girl companion?
She seemed quite good. Hugh himself seemed to have some slightly odd kind of tone sometimes, but yeah, but yeah, they're going to have to see how it plays out over the story.
That's real interesting, because you would have thought she would be sort of the overly anime character that's just laying it on.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Yeah.
But
yeah, no, she's quite a good little character. She's just kind of like, let me have a try, Hugh. I'm gonna fuck these
Hugh,
guys
why are you
up.
so useless? Come on.
Yeah.
Hugh's off like.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I was like Hugh's off like waxing lyrical about the like meaning of life and stuff. Just getting real weird. Why you gonna weird? Why you gonna be like that, Hugh?
Wouldn't that be weird? Because usually it's
really excited about it.
Usually it's the the support character that becomes frustrating, because they're always pointing out obvious things in the environment, or like you should do this, or you should go over here, blah 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 blah. But in this case, it kind of seems like the main protagonist is the annoyance, and the supporting characters.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, to their credit, there's not really any. I didn't notice any kind of annoying vocalizations during gameplay. Like they had some pretty good little kind of vaguely useful sort of handy type things, but nothing that felt too overly handheldy. And mostly it was kind of interactions between them, kind of between bouts of action, in either cutscenes or kind of quieter gameplay segments where you're exploring and things. So yeah, it certainly seemed like it had a good vibe.
It's good to hear.
On the totally other end of the scale, I tried a really cute little run-based game called Wanderburg.
Yes,
this thing's basically medieval Mortal Engines. So rolling towns that are trying to eat other towns and get bigger, get upgraded. So basically, it's a little roguelike where you wander around, shooting your town's armaments at other things, eating little dudes and sheep and trees and farms and stuff to get bigger.
That looks so good.
Yeah, it's a fun little thing. It didn't feel like there was a whole lot of depth there, honestly. I think it's a nice little idea, and it seemed to kind of do what it did pretty well. It's your bigger fish game where you're trying to get bigger and eat bigger things.
Like the itch.io's game.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of a itch.io-esque roguelike for sure. Overall, like, again, some fun little kind of cartoony visuals that were doing the job real nicely. The UI I felt was really rough at this stage. Again, this is a demo. I'm sure they're working on it still. But yeah, it felt a bit rugged on the UI front, like not necessarily in a sort of fun way, just in a bit of a like, ooh, this doesn't feel entirely finished sort of way. But yeah, the actual in-game look of the thing is really, really sweet. It's cool. And again, another cartoony game, another cel-shaded game. They are
I
everywhere.
like the look of it.
And transitioning on the visual fronts, this is something I just need to gush about for a minute, honestly.
I can see that.
So I played through the demo for The Eternal Life of Goldman, which is been published by THQ Nordic, and it's being developed by a studio I had not previously heard of. Now, my pronunciation here could be completely off. Weapy? They appear to be... Yeah, Weapy? I'm not sure. Anyway, they appear to be Belarusian, I believe, although it's actually really hard to kind of find much information about them, because there's also some information suggesting they might be based in Cyprus, but it seems more like they're Belarusian with maybe a sort of satellite studio in Cyprus or something. And it certainly feels like there might be some kind of Eastern European melancholy darkness underpinning some of this, for sure.
It's beautiful.
This thing is the most gorgeous piece of interactive art I think I have ever seen. It's mental. Apparently these guys have been working on this thing for 9 years, I think it is, and
wow,
boy have they, like, it really shows. I mean, just like, so to sum up, this thing is basically golden age Disney animation, like frame by frame hand drawn animation, really smooth, really kind of expressive, and lots of kind of bend and squish and expression, and like amazing animation work. And everything is animated. Like the early scenes in this game, I mean, it starts off with this crazy kind of fly through animation where everything is moving all the time, and also immediately gets really dark. Like the fly through animation at the start is basically flying through a massive forest fire as like the forest creatures burn alive. It's pretty gnarly. Yeah. And yeah, that kind of like, it's this beautiful kind of super vibrant poppy Disney-esque style, which kind of makes the disturbing stuff even more disturbing in a way. As you know, it's the animation of your childhood, but where everything's really quite dark. Still beautiful and whimsical and often completely insane, but also, yeah, like really kind of delightful and also horrifying, sometimes both at the same time. And yeah, this is so yeah, you come into this kind of village, and there'll just be all these little creatures kind of wandering around, all doing their own little things on their own little animation loops. Everything's just kind of beautifully moving around. You know, the ocean waves are lovely to look at. Like just everything has so much attention to detail in it, and fascinated to see what on earth is going on with the story, because again, this thing kind of kicks into it straight away, where as you're playing this thing, it's kind of being narrated by a mother who is telling a story to her clearly very sick child in hospital. And there's this oddness to that relationship, darkness there, and some incredible voice acting. I don't know who the voice actors are for the mother and the child, but they're absolutely crushing it. It's yeah, really, really quite something. And yeah, you're just kind of finding out these little snippets, and at least in the start of the game, which is covered by the demo, it's unclear what the main character, Goldman, what his relationship is to the mother and her child, whether he's the child's father, or whether he's her father, or just something she's made up. I don't know. But yeah, she clearly has some strong feelings about him, some of which are very negative. Yeah, it's fascinating. And then the sort of gameplay and the enemies you encounter are also kind of really interesting combinations of darkness and weirdness. Sometimes just outright really disturbing. I mean, fairly early on in the game, there's a sort of mini boss battle with what I can only describe as a sort of screaming, burning, sentient pillar baby, which is kind of flinging creatures at you out of its sort of paws, like popping pimples, and it's writhing and screaming in pain the whole time. And honestly, it freaked me out. It was like more disturbed than I've been made by almost anything else that I've played in a long time. Yes, it's this real juxtaposition, but man, just seeing the thing in motion is something else. It is absolutely gorgeous. What I will say is that I'm not 100% sure if the gameplay is going to be able to stack up completely to the just insane level of care that's gone into the visuals. I will say it feels good. It feels nice and snappy. The platforming feels good. It's got a nice little mechanic around swapping out parts of Goldman's walking stick. He's sort of an elderly gent with a walking stick that he can kind of pogo bounce on, and you can swap out the handle and the foot and the body of the cane to kind of do different things and give you different abilities. So there's a little bit of a kind of Metroidvania mechanic there. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, it did feel to me, and this is coming off Hollow Knight Silksong, which is the last sort of Metroidvania or platformer I played, which is obviously a hard thing to make comparisons to, because that game's kind of the pinnacle of what a responsive Metroidvania can be. And in Hollow Knight, it's incredibly challenging. That is a hard game, and often a frustrating game, but it's very fair. Like every time I died in Hollow Knight, I was like, yeah, that was my fault. I'm going to do better next time because I've learned from that. It was like, that's frustrating. I'm annoyed, but also, my bad. I'm going to try that again. This felt a little more trial and error. So it felt there was a bit more kind of like, okay, I don't know if I really could have avoided that easily until I sort of knew what was happening and what the timing was and things like that. So it felt like a little bit more kind of learning patterns, and getting through the surprise things now that they're not a surprise anymore type of thing. So at times it felt a little bit, some of the challenges felt a little bit bullshit, basically. But that being said, yeah, a little bit of big goodness to it. It was definitely one of those kind of challenging games where it's like, okay, they're gonna make you kind of work for it a bit, and I think that's fine. But yeah, it's a tricky line to tread where you've got to really make sure that the player feels like it's their fault, not yours, as the game.
Yeah.
And the only other kind of negative I would have is that, like a bunch of other kind of art forward or visually focused platformers that I've played, it can suffer a little bit from some readability issues, because there's so much going on, because there's some really interesting kind of depth work happening that all contributes to that beautiful kind of look to the thing. It can make it that little bit more difficult to tell what is coming at you, what's a surface that you're on versus what's part of the background or the foreground, that sort of thing. And again, it's a relatively minor set of readability issues. I didn't really run into too many problems, but definitely that little bit harder to read at a glance sometimes than simpler visual approaches to that kind of game can be.
Bit of a trade-off there.
Yeah. But honestly, with how gorgeous this thing is, I think that's okay. Go and look it up. Go and look it up. I would say to anyone, go and look at this thing and see it moving, because wow.
Yeah, I just had a look on the Steam page just now, and it just looks stunning. It's a beautiful game. Wow, I'll give that a download if the demo is still up and running. I'm not sure if it is, but
I think it is. I think you can still grab it. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll give it a nudge. That should work on my ROG.
Yeah, so I am watching that one with extreme interest, and not just because I've bet on it in Fantasy Critic.
Nice. That's also a good reason.
Yeah, and that summed up my experience with the Next Fest, really. I had a couple of others that I wanted to get to, but I didn't quite manage to. But there is some good stuff on the horizon, I've got to say. Like we are going to be eating well, particularly in terms of upcoming indies. It's looking really good.
Small games. There's so much. Yeah, one thing I love about having the ROG is just being able to access Steam. Like I've got the PS5, which is kind of mostly used for just your big hits, your big hitters, your big players, your Battlefield 6s, etc.
You said dead games.
But just actually, you said okay, exactly. Whereas the ROG, I could just play these kind of cool little indies. I just played the 3. I just sort of try to cram it into like one evening a couple of nights ago. I picked them based on the cover art, to be honest. Don't know what that says about me, but we'll see. I played Outbound was the first one I played. It's kind of a van life sim crafting game. You know, like Pacific. What was that one that came out recently? Pacific Highway? Is that
Pacific Drive?
Drive? Yeah, it's like the opposite of that. It's the opposite of that. You know, like this is more like real cozy van life. So you kind of like kit out your van, you're recycling shit to get more blueprints, and it kind of looks like Firewatch. That kind of, again, like talking about the simpler aesthetics to run on your computer. This is definitely one that's kind of just pretty simple looking. But there was definitely a vibe with this game. I didn't play very long, so I'm not too sure like how far it goes. But the map looked pretty decent. I think in the demo I played, there was like one map, and you probably played, I don't know, like maybe 20% of that map, and there's 3 maps. But basically what you do is you drive around, you're on a road trip, your whole base is your van, and you sort of do it up as you go. You like pick up rocks and you sort of craft stuff, and it's very simple. I can imagine just like sitting there playing it in the winter when it's like shit outside, but this little game sort of feels cool. Don't know if there's a storyline. I hope eventually there is some sort of storyline, that there's a reason for you driving around this sort of like Pacific Northwest looking vistas, but I guess we'll see. I did see a couple of screenshots where people had made stupid like bases on top of their van, like it would like fold out. You know how you get the camping roofs that you can get? It's like that, but it's like a fucking 4-bedroom apartment sort of thing. So like, yeah, it's like, okay, I'm really curious to see how that pans out. So I'll look at that one. When it comes out, I might give that a proper go. The next one I played was Witchspire, which was kind of Power World, but with witches. It was real basic. I don't think I was a target.
Are the witches? Are you the witch, or are the witches the Pokemon?
You are the witch. Oh, you are the witch. You're not going around capturing witches. It's not like the Salem Witch Trials, to be fair. You have like a little familiar that sort of follows you around. I don't think it's Power World, and the kind of crafting side of things is less the picking up little creatures and just making them your slaves. I didn't really play that much of it. It seemed pretty simple. Once it's got into the sort of more crafting mechanics, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll kind of see where this is going. I could be wrong though.
They got you.
There's a lot more to it. That was definitely an example of a game I picked because of the pretty art.
does have nice cover art. I'll give you that for sure.
It does have nice art, yeah. But very basic sort of game. But again, I just don't know. Like I just didn't have enough time to really give these guys a proper shake. So maybe I'll revisit these and we can talk about them on a later episode. The final one was Vampire Crawlers, and this is just this is not cozy. This is not cozy at all. This is just roguelike deck building dungeon crawler crack cocaine. These are the guys who made Vampire Survivors, I believe. Same studio.
Same dude.
Right?
One dude, I believe,
yeah.
Or at least
a
very small number of dudes, if not just the one. I'm not sure if he's brought on some extra folks for this one.
He may have actually. I didn't have any idea how to play this game. I kind of heard about it, and I was like, I'm just going to play it. I didn't read the instructions. I just sort of started playing it, and as I was playing it, I was like, okay. You kind of just pick up by looking at the iconography. You're like, okay, well, this does this. You've got some mana kind of things going on, and by the end of it, I kind of died at the very last boss of whatever run or whatever dungeon I was on. But I was like, man, I could play this game for hours. You're just sort of deck building dungeon crawler, so you're sort of going first person down like really like pixelated corridors and stuff, or open areas, fighting like bats and skeletons and stuff, and getting more weapons as you level up. and those weapons come in the form of cards. There's also like a kind of to mitigate your loss of health, you can get armor, which kind of cancels out the damage that you take when it's the enemy's turn. So you kind of want to balance out having armor and sort of weapons. And man, yeah, this game is going to be so sweet when it comes out. 100% going to get it and just waste many hours playing it.
Yeah, this thing is just like a perfectly tuned slot machine. It's like even down to the sound design and the visuals and everything. Like it's sort of
the sound.
And it's just like, oh, I need to pull the lever again. This thing could be a problem. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, even more than Blatro, I reckon, as well. Like, Blatro was sweet, but kind of once I'd done the thing a few times and done a few rounds, I was like, I've seen what I need to do. Yeah. I don't need to go do billion combo runs sort of thing.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually...
but this, on the other hand...
I actually found the initial mechanics in this kind of easier to grasp immediately than the way it worked in Vampire Survivors for whatever reason.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, just with the card system and having a bit more control over it rather than the kind of auto-attacking approach to Vampire Survivors. I don't know, I found it much more tangible, kind of what was going on and how the maths was happening. So I was much more able to kind of make some deliberate choices about what I was doing, at least within the kind of slightly randomized, deck building limited card approach that you have, especially early game. But yeah, I did find it, like you said, you can kind of just jump in and immediately go, yeah, I get this. And it's...
I know what's going on here.
And
I'll play enough video games.
To need to do some more of this.
Yeah, so much more. So that was me.
Is there a 3D world?
Yeah, it's like a... Oh, man, have you played like the Bard's Tale or something like that? That's the best example I can think of. Bard's Tale?
Well, they're kind of like a dungeon, but like a turn-based dungeon.
Yeah, it's turn-based. Yeah. So you like throw your three, you like draw 3 cards, and then you play those cards. It'll be like knife or axe or armor or something, or like you can get characters as well who you can play as a card. And they just like exist in front of you. I'm trying to think of a game what it looks like.
It's a throwback 80s. to your real classic.
Yeah. Bard's Tale is the one I think
games.
of. Yeah. Fantasy Star. Fantasy Star 2. Have you played that? That's got like the kind of like it's like the enemies are just in front of you in a kind of like 3D but 2D, like flat 2D 3D space, kind of like Doom, but not like corridor based. It's the corridor.
Yeah, another one. Yeah.
Dungeon crawler.
Yeah, and you kind of proceed through the corridor.
Yeah.
Movement through that corridor too. Yeah.
I think they're fixed. I think they're fixed. The enemies. Because you have like a little mini map and you can sort of see where you go, and you can kind of decide, oh crap, I've got like 15 life left. I'm gonna just skip this one and go straight to the boss. So you're kind of managing how much damage you can take, but you also want to get enough weapons to be able to fight the boss. So and there's all the upgrades and stuff as well, kind of like Blatro. You upgrade your sort of multipliers and so to do more damage because you need
sound
to
like crack.
Like quite a bit of damage to kind of beat these bosses.
It really is quite cracky.
It
looks like the kind of really early sort of first person dungeon crawlers with things like Wizardry, Might and Magic, and as you mentioned, Len the Bard's Tale series.
Kingsfield as well.
So that real kind of like jump from point to point on the map sort of thing. Yeah. Yes, I mean they even do a fun little thing right at the beginning where they kind of start in the top-down Vampire Survivors perspective and then like drop the perspective down into the dungeon crawl first-person view, which is fun.
Oh yeah, they do too. Yeah, that's right. I didn't actually realize that. Yeah. My final game was that's me for next Fest, but also on top of that, I've been playing Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. A little bit late to the party. I think it came out a couple of years ago, but man, it's very good. It is AAA third person web slinging action, and it is like 10 out of 10.
Feels good, eh?
If you want to play that sort of game, it feels great to swing around. There's kind of a bit more of a flying mechanic as well. We've got the web wings now, and their approach to kind of the open world is you can kind of beeline through the story, but it's very... I haven't used fast travel once. Just navigating New York is very satisfying. And the combat system, it's really flow state kind of... there's a lot of different things you can do. There's like you hold L1 and you can do a bunch of different sort of Spider-Man attacks. You've got like R1 and you can do a bunch of different kind of gadget attacks, and they sort of build up as you sort of fight. And it's very flowy, yeah. Like just being able to like switch, like if you can imagine the kind of fighting you would do or he does in the movies, that's just what you do. And the story itself is solid. The voice acting is great. Yeah, really good. I'm kind of surprised I haven't actually finished played it until now. But yeah, no, I highly recommend that game. If you're a PS5 or PlayStation fan.
Yeah, and I think, like you said to me the other day as well, like you mentioned, Spider-Man 2 is about as good as games probably ever need to look, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful game, and like, yeah, can you make that nicer? Yeah, you can get a bit of lighting, but like, yeah.
Do you need to? Yeah.
Do you need to? I don't know. Just make better stories, make good stories, have good character moments, or your games can even look worse and have amazing mechanics, right? We've talked about a whole bunch of these games over the last like sort of hour or so. These games, all not necessarily, apart from Pragmata, stylized games that play really well. I think a lot of these studios kind of need to learn, kind of need to think about, why people play games. I think studios are a little bit lost on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
like what it means to be
in the one of the things I've been thinking about is that I think in many ways something to do with the older I get, the more I can appreciate a vibes-based game. What's it feel like? Existing in that space for a little bit, because at the end of the day, this is a form of escapism. It's like, are you escaping to somewhere nice and interesting to be in, or look at, or absorb the story from, or do the thing in?
I choose to escape into a dungeon full of blood-sucking monsters.
Yeah.
Vibes.
Absolute vibes, man.
It's just so relaxing.
But what if the dungeon full of blood-sucking monsters was also a slot machine? Vibes.
How about you, Nate? What have you been playing over the last wee while?
So in terms of the Steam Next Fest, I'll quickly cover off the two that I wanted to point out.
Oh, yes.
One was actually one that I've been following for a while, because I'm a FromSoft sicko.
Yes.
We know this about you.
Dino Blade.
Dino Blade.
I saw this.
Demo up for Dino Blade.
That game.
I've seen a couple of playthroughs, and it's good to sort of get hands on with it a little bit.
Nice.
But it doesn't. I don't think it's gelling with everybody, and I think that's just because the difficulty.
Is it supposed to? It was a joke.
I don't know,
wasn't it? They made it as like a laugh. The person made it as a tech demo, like just to be silly.
Yeah,
right?
the guy. I think he's like a professional animator, and he just decided to put, Dark Souls with dinosaurs, but the animations are like sick as hell, and you've got your crazy dinosaurs wielding weapons, and then dinosaurs wielding other dinosaurs as weapons. There's all sorts of like real wacky things that happen.
I've got to say, I did think that, like, for a bunch of dinosaurs holding big buster swords in their mouths, it was surprisingly convincing.
Yeah, and the gameplay, like, it actually works as a Souls-like. There's that classic, like, not being or being able to predict and dodge and learn the enemy, and you get punished, but then you learn from your mistakes and you come back, and that formula is very much there again, and it works with, you wouldn't really think it would work so well with a big hulking dinosaur, but he's got, like, it's ridiculous rolling around the place, but and the weapons all feel like there were a couple of weapons and they all felt very distinctive from each other and had their own sort of move sets. I don't know, it was just a lot of fun and really, really cool animations, like everything you could ever dream of. And, with that crossover between Souls
Yeah, it
game
looks so silly.
and
Like, I love it.
dinosaurs.
I'm watching
Like,
it on the
it's
Steam
just
page now,
awesome.
and it's just like fiery Buster Sword, like throwing out fire waves at things.
Sort of
Jeez.
seems like a sort of glorious meme game.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. I didn't realize they actually turned it into an actual game. I kind of heard about this a while ago. I thought it's just a. Yeah, I didn't realize he was turning it into a game. That's fantastic.
Respect.
Planned release Q3 2026.
But and the other one that caught my eye was the I'm always a sucker for any new Starship Troopers game, hoping it's going to be the Starship Troopers game. So there was a Starship Troopers Ultimate Bug War that had a demo for Steam Fest, Next Fest, and I love I just really loved the retro look of it. It sort of took me back to like early Halo days. And to be fair, like you don't. I think coming back to this graphics, the graphics, don't always need to be fantastic, and I don't think they really have to be for a Starship Troopers game. It just needs to be gritty and impactful, and I felt it nailed that. So if I could just get the entire Starship Troopers like story in a really great first-person shooter, then I'd be sold.
What else do you have, Nate?
Yeah. And in terms of other games,
Uh-oh. We lost him.
Oh no.
You're gone.
Oh, maybe this is Bluetooth.
Oh, you made his headphones die. Oh, no.
Oh no.
All right. So, I think we've at least temporarily raptured Nate. He has disappeared due to internet problems. So, hopefully
He's
he
been,
may
he's
reappear.
been uninstalled.
Maybe he just
Hopefully.
really doesn't like Marathon. I don't know. Because
Yeah,
that's what we're gonna talk
well,
about next.
Mm,
We got to Marathon and suddenly, pow, he's gone. Like, I don't know.
yeah, convenient, right? Yeah.
But anyway, that's what we're going to chat about, right?
Yeah. So over the weekend, for our final sort of what we played the Marathon Server Slam over the weekend. I'll let you just say, what were your sort of thoughts in general, Dave? About the gunplay, the design, the extraction shooters. Are they good?
I'm mixed on Marathon so far. Big old pile of mixed. First of all, going back to my earlier focus on visuals, the design in this thing is kind of off the charts cool. It's really neat to see a game putting a bit of graphic design absolutely front and center. Like, they have gone hard with this thing. The menus and everything look fantastic. They've done a lot of work with the in-game art, so it's really quite striking now. It's quite readable. It's pretty good. However, the menus, on the other hand, while beautiful, are kind of a hot mess. They really, and this is a big complaint I know with a lot of people. It really kind of sucks to navigate around that thing, especially when you're unfamiliar with it. So much of the loot looks really similar. They're all kind of different versions of pixelated icons with square boxes on them, and it's like, what is any of this stuff? How do I sort through it? How do I prioritize what's useful to me? Bit of a problem there. And weirdly, they kind of, what we were talking about earlier with feedback, they got that feedback really strongly in their first testing, and it still looks like that. So I'm not quite sure. They've already come out and said, oh yeah, we're going to work on improving the UI, and it's like, yeah, but you could have been doing that for the last year, so what gives? Not sure there, but got to give it its credit. It's beautiful, even if it's a bit hard to deal with sometimes. And passing back over to you, what did you think about the movement systems and the general kind of getting around in the game? Because obviously this is, being an extraction shooter, something where you're doing quite a bit of moving around, looking for loot, finding other players, exploring the environment. How did you feel about this stuff?
It was a bit slower than I would like from my extraction shooters, but then I come from the Call of Duty DMZ. That's kind of my main extraction shooter experience, which is, forgive me for my sins. They had this reverse stamina thing, right? Where it was like you'd build up heat, and then eventually after you got to a certain amount of heat from running or just doing double jumps or whatever, you'd have to cool down, so you just be able to have all you could do is walk. So you ends up just walking quite a lot because you wanted a bit of stamina just in case you got into a fight with another like group of players, or you want to get away from some just regular enemies, some non-player
yes,
enemies.
It sort of punishes you for overusing the movement mechanics they give you, right? Like,
yes.
You kind of overdo it in your traversal, then suddenly you're completely screwed when you get into a fight of any sort.
Any sort, yeah. So it had this real weird slowness to it, and it wasn't the kind of tension where it's, from what I can tell from like kind of Showdown, where it's kind of you kind of stalking and creeping through because there's like really powerful enemies that'll kill you, and like all the other enemies are like kind of across that fence sort of thing. Everyone's really close. These are big maps, so having a slow movement mechanic sort of system on a large map just doesn't work. It really like lowers your immersion, and I don't think they've got it. The size of the map, they should have had really I'm not saying like just really crazy fast mechanics, but I think at least fluid jumping and not having to worry about stamina so much. I'm not saying you should be able to race around, double jump or double sprint everywhere like Call of Duty, some of the more modern Call of Duties, but they. Yeah, I don't think it was that. I just don't think they quite nailed the feel.
Yeah,
Some people might disagree with that.
It's really interesting, and I'm going to kind of play devil's advocate a little bit here, because I have kind of the same feelings where it is frustrating that they kind of give you these nice movement capabilities and then immediately take them off you because they're like, no, don't use that too much. Just a little bit of pudding for you, and you're like, oh, but it's so delicious. But I feel like it's an interesting mixture because it does inject a slower pace into the game in general and into the combat particularly, where not everyone is sliding and running and jumping around, and so it does feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more planted. And I don't think I'm against that. It does give it a bit more of its own feel. However, I do feel like the balance isn't quite right because a lot of the time it does feel like you're kind of slogging around these fairly big environments, just kind of cruising rather than being able to kind of go at the speed you want to go. And I suspect that's only going to get worse with long-term repeat play, right? Like when you don't know the maps that well, you're exploring it, it's unfamiliar, it's interesting. We weren't really noticing it too much. It was fun and interesting to kind of explore these environments. But I think after you know those places, you know, like the back of your hand, because you've played the map a couple of 100 times, I think it's probably going to get quite tedious just trying to get around. I actually reckon it kind of feels like to me there's a certain amount of, like, I bet some of it is that attempt to ground it and control it a little bit and stop it being too slidey and too sweaty and too, like COD-ish. But then the other side of it, then the other side of it is I feel like it might actually be a bit of a scaling issue. Like, if they gave you that fast movement all the time, I don't know if the maps are big enough to really deal with that all that well. Like, I think part of the reason the maps feel big is because you're going around at this fairly slow speed. And I think if you were sprinting everywhere, you'd be covering the map too quick and able to respond to like other player events too quick and things like that. So like, let's say you go and, bring in one of the cargo drops or something like that. Other teams see that. If they're able to sprint to you in the space of like 30 seconds, that's going to make all of those things
Yeah.
pretty. You're going to end up with every team on the map on top of you, like immediately, and so you've got to
real
have
quick.
that kind of a bit of isolation built in there. I think where it's like you've got to have some space, and I suspect that is potentially a problem they ran into because it feels like they've made these deliberate decisions to slow you down to make those maps feel bigger than they are. Because then the other side is, if you just have huge maps, it's kind of like, what's the point in that as well? Like most of that is going to end up being empty space, and that also creates a weird balance for player encounters and weapon ranges and stuff. So it's like, if you just make those giant, then you might be able to move around them fast, but still a lot of empty space.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I suspect they've been juggling this kind of scale and time, especially response time and sense of tension versus that kind of nice feeling combat. But yeah, at the moment, see, to me, I think they could probably fairly safely give us all the ability to sprint either unlimited or near unlimited, and sure, limit your ability to slide and things like that. Limit those really kind of more rapid, more intense, combat options a little bit, so that everybody's not just kind of bunny hopping and sliding everywhere. But it really doesn't seem like just a sprint long term should be that much of an issue, and that would make it feel a lot better. I think a lot less frustrating.
Yeah, I think so. Just to increase that sense of speed a little more, but then increase the mobility just a fraction.
Yeah, and again, this really comes down to what I was saying earlier about when your customers tell you something wrong's, believe them. When they tell you how to fix it, don't believe them. I'm telling you how to fix it right now. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I can say that it doesn't feel great at the moment. But on the other hand, I think I see how they've ended up there. And I don't know if it would necessarily be better for the game if they just kind of gave you free reign on those movement options. I kind of think it might be a negative. Clearly, they thought it was a negative. So I'd be interested to see how they solve that, because I think they will need to tweak something there. But I want to see what I want to see what they do with it.
Yeah, especially when you've got different characters have different sort of movement styles as well. They definitely really wanted to lean into the PvP aspect, I think, versus the PvE.
Yes, and that PvP aspect is another interesting thing I wanted to chat with you about as well, because something that did sort of dawn on me at the time when we tried it out, and that I've seen discussed a bit since, is that compared to some other versions of the kind of extraction shooter concept, it really feels like there's a kind of shoot on sight feeling in Marathon. And actually, the AI enemies are kind of human shaped and highlighted red. The other humans are kind of human shaped and highlighted red. And so kind of everything you see that moves reads like an enemy just from the get-go. And it's like, sure, you've technically got prox chat to go, hey bro, don't shoot me, like, let's work together, but nobody bothers. They shoot you because you look like an enemy, kind of have right? To, it's like they've kind of done everything they can, mental and visual cues wise, to kind of drive you down the path of, you should shoot these other people.
They need to die. Yeah, they've definitely done that. I don't know how well it's going to serve the game in general. I think what's going to happen, and this isn't great for a like $3 billion investment with Bungie, is you'll have like a dedicated bunch of people who really like the game, who love it, and are just going to keep playing it. But again, you've got Bungie; it's a massive company, like a massive dev, and in terms of getting like your return on what you've spent on this game, I just don't see it. Like.
Yeah, and the financial model they've gone for, obviously, with the upfront cost,
not super expensive, but
yeah, middle of the road. It's an affordable option, but obviously a premium product.
Yeah.
And then they're talking about having free post-launch content, at least at the moment. They're talking about the seasonal stuff being free. Now, practically speaking, that seems quite good to all intents and purposes. I much prefer a sort of pay-up-front model. I'm all for that. And having your seasonal content then be free means you're not splitting your player base thereafter into like different kind of paid expansions. Because, again, this is kind of the exact reverse of what they ended up doing with Destiny 2. Destiny 2 obviously started as a premium thing and then shifted to a free-to-play base model with paid expansions. And I think that did work really well financially for a good long time in terms of keeping people kind of, there's a real FOMO to, like, if I want to be playing the actual game with other people, I really need to get the latest expansion, and that's $20 or whatever. Okay, I'll just do that.
Yes.
Whereas this seems much more like, well, buy it up front, and then you just kind of keep going forever, maybe. Do you think they're going to stick to that?
In terms of I think they're going to switch, I mean, they did. Destiny 2 was a premium product to start with. It didn't start off as a free-to-play.
Yes.
Did it?
No, it started off premium.
It
started off premium and then went free-to-play. And they had a massive backlash when they did that because, of course, there were a whole bunch of people who'd paid, $100 for this thing. And then suddenly it was free-to-play for the new plebs and everybody got real mad. So I would have thought they wouldn't try that same move again, but maybe they will. I don't know, because it does seem like a potential risk they're running here with a genre that's already a little bit niche, because extraction shooters are not huge and there have not been that many super successful ones. Arc Raiders being kind of the most recent example, and Arc Raiders has surely exceeded all expectations. It's done extremely well, but yeah, there's not a lot of success in this space beyond one or two kind of big marquee ones that are sucking up a lot of the oxygen. So it'd be interesting to see whether this is capable of becoming one of those. And to be fair, all of them are kind of premium titles as well. Arc Raiders, Tarkov, COD to a certain extent, I guess, with DMZ, we're all kind of paid upfront products. They're not free to play, but there is definitely this kind of really widespread discourse around, should Destiny be free to play? Like, are they chopping themselves off at the knees here? And maybe.
Yeah, there might be. I don't. Yeah, I get not wanting to split the player base, but yeah, I've got a feeling. But yeah, how long do they have to get this right?
Yeah, well, again, we've been seeing recently, a lot of the time about 2 weeks.
Yeah, 46 days in the scheme of things actually doesn't sound so bad with some of these releases like Concord and etc. Like this is it's a crowded space, man. And the extraction shooter itself is a very interesting kind of genre as well. There hasn't been like a Fortnite. The Battle Royale is well established as a go-to, even though there really are just really two names in the game. Really, let's be honest, it's Fortnite and Warzone are the two. Like, I mean, can you name another one that anyone really cares about?
Yeah, that's pretty much they've got it pretty locked down.
Pretty much those two, right? Yeah, and Apex Legends, is that a?
I mean, Apex was huge for a long time. I think it's fallen off pretty hard now.
But even that's sort of fallen off. There you go. Like, Arc Raiders is probably the biggest of the biggest, most recent one. Tarkov has a really big niche following, but again, it's not like a 10 million copy sort of engine.
No, it's not a Destiny.
It doesn't attract that sort of thing. No, it's not Destiny, and yeah,
and this seems like it feels like what they are probably expecting or hoping for is Destiny numbers, right? Because again, they've spent years and years and an entire studio's worth of resources on this thing, and like they've got to be hoping for Destiny numbers, not Tarkov numbers.
Not Tarkov numbers. And at this stage, it'll be lucky if they get Arc Raiders numbers.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on like the actual genre itself? You've kind of played. I think you dabbled DMZ, like maybe a couple of
Yeah,
games.
yeah, dabbled in a little bit of COD DMZ. I mean, I think one of the big problems for the genre is it's not an accessible genre. It's sweaty, it's stressful,
Very sweaty,
and it requires quite a lot of investment. You know, it's like you are playing to lose something every time. You know, and it's like that is not always fun. And it's got a real win more mechanic just kind of built in with the entire concept. You know, once you start kind of doing well, you've got more ability to continue doing well, and if you're getting stomped, you're gonna get stomped worse. You know, it's like it sort of has a tendency to spiral one way or the other, and so if you don't really have the time to really dedicate to getting hardcore at these things, they're often just going to straight out punish you for them, and you're not going to have a good time. And of course, the more established these games get, the worse that gets. You know, you can't just come into them as a newbie and be like, "Oh, hey guys, what's going on?" You just get shot in the face.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, there's no like sort of onboarding.
No. More like immediate offboarding.
Just like ride or die. Yeah. Which is a shame, because I like my experiences personally with the extraction shooter is Call of Duty DMZ, which got a really bad rap. But I've had some thrilling moments. I guess it's just because it's the shooting of Call of Duty and the general gameplay, which I quite enjoy, with the Battle Royale circle that goes in. But then you've got the extraction in part where you can just get out and get some cool stuff. What they didn't do, and what I think a lot of these games don't do well, is the loot. I feel a lot of it's inconsequential or just really, really incremental. And I know that's what they want to do, because you want to have it so you want to go and do it a whole bunch of times. You don't want to be able to have done all the things in like 3 jumps, you know, 3 attempts. I've unlocked like everything.
Yeah, the entire loop loop to me always feels a little bit, like you said, a little bit inconsequential, or a little bit hard to find a reason to keep going with it. And you know, and then the kind of enjoyable shooting mechanics and things, because obviously this is a Bungie game, the shooting feels real good, which is what you'd expect.
It does actually, yeah.
But it's kind of that's fun. But then when weighed against the general kind of stress factor and pacing, you know, because these are slower paced games by necessity, by nature, you don't get to do as much of that shooting, you know, and so you kind of lose a bit of the pacing, you ratchet up the tension, and although the tension's interesting, it does mean you're not doing as much of the fun thing, which is the shooting.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And when it comes down to the that ongoing mechanic, really the only reason to keep doing that long term is because you enjoy the moment-to-moment shooting gameplay. And if there's just not a whole lot of that, what are you doing it for? I don't know.
You know what?
That's true.
Yeah, to get some more mid packs.
Exactly.
For the next run, like
another little block of random
cool,
coins
man.
or whatever. Yeah, it's like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the goal is.
So to sum up, a little bit nervous for Bungie. I don't know how this is going to go. I think it's a good game. Like, I definitely don't think it's bad. I think it has a lot of those, you know, real nice Bungie hallmarks of some care and attention in some good places. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not going to be buying it. I'm not going to be playing any more of it, I don't think, because I just don't really feel the urge.
No, neither. I guess we probably aren't necessarily the target demographic for the
Definitely
game.
not sweaty enough.
Although we probably you would think that the target demographic is just gamer. They want to make it as appealing as possible. Well, maybe they thought they could reinvent the genre, which I don't think they have successfully done that.
No, I mean it doesn't feel particularly accessible or different in a lot of ways. Whereas by the sounds of it, Arc Raiders did more of that in many ways. Like managed to lower that entry barrier in some quite successful ways. Whereas Marathon doesn't necessarily feel like it is. I don't think. I think it it's
And I might give Arcgraders a go at some stage. I think one of the guys has got a copy, so I might dabble eventually.
give it a nudge. Yeah. Likewise. I if anything, the bit of experience with Marathon has kind of made me go, "Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm really quite keen to try Arcgraders based on what I know about it."
Yeah, exactly.
Which is not really the reaction that they're going to be looking for, I don't think.
yeah, exactly. It's probably not what they were expecting. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see how many people bounce off Marathon into Arcgrade or something like that. I guess.
Yeah, and whether in fact the extraction shooter genre ever gets kind of any bigger than it is now, because really, it may not, and it may not deserve to. It may just be a niche sweaty thing, and that's okay. Which is
totally okay. Exactly. Fantasy Critic.
Yeah, let's before we finish up, because we've yapped for a bit. Let's do a little rundown of our current Fantasy Critic, shall we? So, you want to explain it?
Yeah, we are doing a Fantasy Critic season. Everyone picks. How many games do we pick?
18 total, I believe.
10? 18 total games. Holy heck! All right, so we all pick 18 games with multiple sort of special. There's 4 special categories. And I'll just rattle off the current standings, recent releases, a couple of the delays. But at the moment, I am currently winning.
Yes, it's in front.
I have got 4 releases so far. 2 were good, 2 were not so good.
Well, they're all in the positive. They're not too bad.
Well, I haven't lost anything. Yeah. But the Yakuza 3 remake didn't go so well.
Yes, that one didn't go so well. It was all over the map on the reviews. Yeah. There were some people who went, "Oh yeah, this seems alright," and some other people who went, "This is a betrayal of everything this franchise has ever stood for."
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Yikes. Dave is currently 4th, but 1 release. So put that into context. And Nate is 5th with no releases, so he hasn't got anything on the board. But that's because none of his games.
Yes, he has some goodies down the track, though. Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing about this whole experiment. Is kind of towards the end of the year, I think there's going to be some panicking. Because can you pick up games that have already been released or not?
No, so they've all.
You can't. So as soon as the game's released,
yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I was a bit gung ho with trying to get points on the board early. I think I'm fairly set for the rest of the year. I don't think I'll do too much changing. Lords of the Fallen 2. We'll see about that. But other than that, yeah.
Yes, and we had some big manoeuvres early on. Obviously there was a lot of working around who was going to pick up GTA 6, because is that going to come out this year, or is it going to be delayed and cause someone a loss there? Who knows? So yeah, there's some stakes on the table, and we'll give some fun little updates on that as we go forward. But I got caught up early on by Ubisoft imploding, or Ubisoft's continuous implosion, as they endlessly fold in on themselves. But I had some bets on the supposedly imminent Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake, because I was like, yeah, that seems like a good solid bet. It's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks after we did our draft. That's cancelled. So thanks, Ubisoft.
fully cancelled. Jeez. Assassin's Creed Black Flag wasn't even actually officially announced, but that's apparently been delayed. It's been delayed before it was even announced, so that's a bit weird.
I'm still really hoping that's coming out this year, but we'll see.
Oh yeah, I mean, it could if they've kind of worked on it, and but they haven't actually officially announced it, right?
No, they have said nothing. But
no.
I did see some more rumor mill energy going around recently, saying that it sounds like it's still very much underway. And, of course, Assassin's Creed is with the bit of Ubisoft that has been transferred into a new robot body controlled by Tencent, so it still has all the money. It has a better chance than the stuff that was left behind.
Yeah. That's so sad. The big delay for this week was, of course, Pokemon Wind and Wave, which is the 10th generation Pokemon game.
2027 for 10th gen. Yeah, 10th gen. And that's
Yeah.
already... so they were on quite a cadence with the Pokemon games, from what I understand, and that's now... It would have been later than usual, already coming out this year, and now it's even later again, so quite a departure from their usual sort of release cadence there.
I'm guessing there'll be a bit of pressure on the studio to bring out something good. At least with the Switch 2, it should run
Hopefully
decently.
more than like 10 frames per second, would be good.
Yeah, which was Violet and Scarlet were struggling on the original
Where were
Switch.
they?
Yeah. And that wraps us up for the first ever episode of the Crossplay Cooperative. You can join us right here every fortnight for video game ramblings. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, and share. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook until I sign us up for the rest of the socials. See ya. Crossplay Cooperative is hosted by Len, Nate, and Dave, and is a podcast by From Silence Productions. No sentient skater trains were harmed in the recording of this podcast.